We are back talking NFL Week 18 action. Everyone loves Week 18, but especially Rotowire's Alan Seslowsky, Geoff Ulrich, and Pearce Dietrich. Let's get into this, guys. Let's talk some Week 18. Still a couple of awards that are up in the air heading into this Sunday and Saturday's action, but one that is still kind of interesting and is at plus odds. Coach of the Year. Everyone still technically a moneymaker on this list. Zach Taylor currently the favorite at plus 150, but is that the direction you are leaning, Geoff?
This one is interesting. I was looking at this one earlier in the week, and I know most people, Pierce probably expect me to pick Mike Vrabel, but I do think it's going to come down to between Zach Taylor and Matt LaFleur of obviously the Green Bay Packers. And it's hard to like give one player an edge. I mean, I think both quarterbacks here are getting a ton of credit for their team's success. So you really have to think, what do the voters want to do? I'm going to lean Zach Taylor here. I just think that the turnaround from the Bengals this year, it's been too dramatic. Nobody was picking this team to win the division. I know there's a couple smart bettors out there who took like plus 1,400 or whatever on the DraftKings Sportsbook that was available preseason. I wasn't one of them, but I do think that he's going to get credit for this huge turnaround. And it has been a huge turnaround. This is a team that's not just made the playoffs. They've beat their division against established veteran teams, good quarterbacks in the division like Lamar Jackson. Zach Taylor has dominated all these teams, and he's got them in a position now to have potentially like home field advantage throughout, at least in the first round. So I'm going to go Zach Taylor here. He's a slight favorite. And I think you're getting a little bit of value because I do think that he should be closer to plus 100 right now.
Thought you backed yourself out of that corner nicely. Good quarterbacks in that division, like Lamar Jackson when he's healthy, I guess. Pierce, how are you feeling about this particular bet on the DK Sportsbook?
I'm kind of disappointed. The bet that I want's not on the board. What about Urban Meyer? I feel like people laugh, but he managed to get himself out of Jacksonville pretty quickly. He got hired, realized, I've made a huge mistake. And instead of sticking around in a marriage for 20 years, he just hit the road immediately. I think that's an accomplishment. As far as what we have to pick from, the Taylor pick seems to be the way to go. I know the payout's not that great, but if you look at the trend for Coach of the Year, it typically goes to an elite team, which Green Bay is close, but they're not the elite team that got a Coach of the Year in the past. Or it goes to the turnaround team, the surprise coach, which Taylor fits that mold. So he's more than likely going to be it. If anyone steals it away from Taylor, I would say Vrabel at plus 300 is worth looking at because, I think they've had a soft schedule, but they've dealt with a lot of adversity and they've flat out won football games. Vrabel is a respected coach around the league. If someone's going to steal some votes away, it could be Vrabel at plus 300.
Alan, what do you think? Clean sweep here for Zach Taylor?
You can't lose to the Jets and the Bears and get Coach of the Year. Taylor's done a nice job, but he has talent. He was an underachiever last year. He's leveled out. Coaching is about maximizing your talent and over-delivering against expectations and thriving in adversity. Talking about coaches that weren't on the list, I scrolled down. I couldn't find Dan Campbell. Obviously, he won't get it, but he should. The Lions fight hard every week. They cover the spread at an incredible rate, but now back to earth. Mike Vrabel at plus 300 is the value pick. Remember what I said about losing to the Jets? Forget that for a second. Vrabel kept the team afloat without Derrick Henry, without A.J. Brown. If they are the one seed, and they most certainly will be if they take care of business here, he is the value play at plus 300.
Well, guys, going into Week 18, if you're looking for some divisional drama, bad news. There isn't a lot left. Only two divisions have yet to be decided. That is the NFC West in the AFC East. In the AFC East, if you think it's undecided, you're putting a lot of faith in the New York Jets to beat the Buffalo Bills this weekend. So, of the Bills and the Rams, Pierce, which one do you think is more likely to lose their divisional crown?
It's got to be the Rams. 49ers are a decent team. Rams almost lost last week. The Rams have been very consistent, so I think the Rams definitely going to lose. And if you look at the trends for the Bills or any team that's been a double-digit favorite, in the spot that the Bills are in, it's basically 13-2 straight up indoors, double-digit favorites going into the last week of the season against a losing record team, 6-0. There's just no way that the Bills lose this game. Whereas the Rams, it's very easy that they can drop this game.
Alan, do you agree with Pierce? Is there no way the Bills can possibly drop this game?
We said this earlier before, but if you think that they are a mortal lock take every dollar you have. This is not directed only at Pierce because I've heard this before. Take every dollar you have and put it on the Bills money line. You won't do it. You know why? Because Vegas says there's a 6 or 7% chance that it won't happen. You would never get it on an airplane that has a 6% chance to crash, right? So you're not going to do it. So it's easy to say the Bills must win. They're going to win, but there is a chance. Now, that said, they're the most likely of the two, but the market also underprices the teams that don't have anything to play for. The Jets are going to show up and they're going to play 100%. They're playing for incentives. They're playing because they don't want the better draft pick. They want to keep their jobs. They don't want good players coming on the team. So I think that though the obvious pick here is the Rams are likely to hold on. The Bills are likely to hold on. It's not a mortal lock by any means.
Geoff, one thing we haven't even talked about yet in this segment, the Patriots would also have to beat the Dolphins in Miami, something they've been not so successful in late in the season the last couple of years. Is there any chance the AFC East is actually up for grabs here, or is it just the NFC West?
No, I mean, look, the Bills lost to the Jaguars this year. They've got there's numerous instances of the Bills just like not showing up or not being able to run the ball. Josh Allen just a little bit inaccurate. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen this week, but we do have numerous examples of it. So it's definitely not a mortal lock that this one's over. But like you said, there's numerous things that have to happen here. Like the Patriots would need a pretty big road win. I mean, I don't think the Dolphins are just going to, lean over and let the Patriots score 50 points like they did last week. I still think that the one that's up for grabs is definitely, though, it's the San Francisco Rams game. I mean, Kyle Shanahan is 5-0 against Sean McVay last 5 times these teams have met. So, he's got wins over them with like Nick Mullins starting at quarterback. Kyle Shanahan is kind of in Sean McVay's head. And maybe that leads to the fact that it just makes the Rams try a little bit harder to grab that win and really put them away. I can see that, but you've still got to think this game's going to be close. Like, I think it's going to come down to a last second field goal here with the 49ers and the Rams. So Rams are definitely the bigger chance at the upset, but I don't think anyone is a mortal lock this week. I think when the pressure gets ratcheted up, teams just tend to, make a few more mistakes too. And I think you will see one of these big favorites potentially get upset this week.
All right, so we're talking about teams that might win their division and might get in. Let's talk about teams that might win it all, at least their conference anyway. We know that as we get deeper and deeper into the playoffs, obviously the odds get shorter and shorter. So Alan, 2-part question. Is now the time to get some conference and Super Bowl bets in if you like a particular team? And when we look at the AFC playoff picture specifically, who's your favorite right now?
2-part question, 2-part answer. Yes and no. It's a bad time to bet one of the favorites because of all these unexpected scratches from COVID. Oh, you love Tampa Bay this week. That's great. Saturday night, Adam Schefter tweet. Boom. Blaine Gabbert starting. How do you feel about your bet right now? It's a great time to bet the long shots. Let's say you like the Raiders and the Chiefs round 1. I mean, that's an extreme example. The Raiders are, I think, plus 5,000 right now for the AFC. But hey, Patrick Mahomes is scratched. COVID list. Hey, okay. I like my odds now and so on and so forth. But if you're talking about just a value perspective, you got to love the Colts and you got to love the Patriots, 800 plus 800 and plus 750 respectively. I like the teams that run and beat you up. The Colts would be my favorite one in the AFC right now from a value perspective.
Alan brings up a good point, Geoff. It has been a very uneasy, even queasy year for futures bets. So can you possibly see yourself making a bet that's for actually 6 weeks down the line? And if you did have to, in the AFC specifically, where are you leaning?
I mean, look, it's a broken record at this point, but like the Titans are one win over Houston away from locking up the number 1 seed, and they're sitting there at 3rd in the odds. They have drifted down finally to plus 450. Like someone other than me has finally noticed this, but again, if you're looking to bet any one of the favorites, that's got to be the spot. They're about to get an extra week of rest and get Derrick Henry back, and they've got wins over the top 2 teams in the odds. I just don't know how you don't take advantage of that. Now, like Alan said, I don't know if like the favorites are really where you should be going. I think for the AFC, and I can't remember who it was, it might have been Pierce, the Chargers at plus 2,000. Obviously, they need to win this week, so you're taking a bit of risk, but that's kind of baked in here with those big odds. And this is a team that can certainly, stand toe-to-toe offensively with anyone in the AFC. If they get on the right side of a draw, maybe they do get like a COVID issue with their opponent. They could definitely be a team that makes a run here. So I think that's probably where I would be looking. The Raiders just seem like, I just don't think they're as good a team as the Chargers. So I would rather take the shorter odds on the Chargers. But for the AFC, I think there's at least a little bit of value on jumping on one of those long shot teams.
Pierce, is Geoff's memory correct? Or are you someone who's looking to back the Chargers right now?
That's correct. Chargers plus 4,000 to win the whole thing. And look to Alan's point, right? We've got COVID issues, and that's going to hurt the favorites. Well, the flip side of that is when those favorites get hurt, that means the underdogs benefit tremendously. And so why not take one of these longer shots? And Geoff alluded to this, that the Chargers offense has the skill players. They have an underrated offensive line. They can get it done. And it actually works well with their defense. Now, people give them a hard time. Oh, they give up all these rushing yards. They're terrible against the run. Well, that's part of the scheme. They play back. They prevent big passes. They prevent big pass plays, and they allow teams to run against them. But the way that it's supposed to work is if the offense gets rolling and they play at a fast pace, they force their opponent to abandon the run and pass and then play into the strength of the Chargers. It's really a brilliant scheme. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if that offense clicks in the playoffs, they can roll right through the AFC.
Okay, well, let's head right to the other side of the bracket. Geoff, is there an NFC team that you're looking at right now and thinking those odds are very tempting?
It's probably the Cardinals. I mean, like the 49ers, I mean, you could make a case for them, but I mean, they're underdogs to even make the playoffs. Like they're underdogs in their game today or on this Sunday. So I don't know how you can take plus 1,800. I just don't think that that's like you're getting a super deal or anything, because you still need them to win a big game on the road. I think the Cardinals at plus 1,000. I just think you look at the top 5 teams. And is there really that big a difference between the Cardinals and Rams? Like, I get that the Rams are going to have home field if they win, but both they're 1-1 in the season series, and you're getting the Cardinals at double the odds. So with Kyler Murray healthy, I think that's probably where the best value is. But I think the NFC odds are more appropriately priced now, and I think there's like less kind of reason to be diving in on the long shots there.
Pierce, do you have a particular lean in the NFC?
Yeah, there aren't really that many long shots in the NFC, but I will go a little bit further than the obvious Green Bay Packers pick and take the Cowboys at 1,100 to win it all. The biggest issue is how's the team going to win on the road? How's this team going to win if they have to go to Green Bay? And that is a concern. And you might be throwing your money away when the Cowboys have to go on the road eventually. But just on paper, Dak's fine. They've got a good offensive line. They've got the skill position. And then also winning in January and February requires great defense. And Dallas's defense is number 1 in terms of DVOA. And they're great at getting turnovers, which is one of the ways that they could get that surprise win on the road, is by getting the turnovers and hanging in there in a game. So I think the Cowboys are worth a look.
Cowboys were getting a lot of buzz before that loss last weekend, Alan. You siding with the Cowboys, or is there another team you're looking at in the NFC?
Yeah, the problem doing the show with 2 sharp analysts is that you're not going to seem original when you go third. Even when they were undefeated, no one took the Cardinals seriously. And at plus 1,000, they're the best value right now on the board. Kyler Murray could take over a game. He still has that in his range of outcomes and in his tool bag. They should get Hopkins back. James Conner fills the role of bruiser, and they can win in tough environments. I think that nobody expects them to do anything. If you're in playoff pools where you're drafting players, the Cardinals won't. They're going to be great values. And at plus 1,000, that's where I would place my dollars.